What if everything you knew about faith was wrong? I used to roll my eyes at prayer, going to church, going to Sunday Mass, and dismissing it as a way for people to put hatred and bigotry upon others that they didn't understand or want to understand, all while hiding behind scripture. But then something truly unexpected happened, pulling me from deep skepticism into a spiritual journey that has changed everything about my life. This isn't just about belief, it's about finding an unexpected connection in the most surprising of places. Hi, I'm Tetu Teshuva, a person who's going through the Reform Judaism movement in conversion and community, and I am here to discuss how I chose Judaism over what I was raised with, and why I want to share my story with others, even if we're in the very beginning of the story. I start my Judaism 101 courses on the 30th, and I am very excited to share that with everyone. I have talked to my rabbi about joining the community, and she's all for it, and that's just a blessing in itself. However, I want to state that my journey technically started when I was way younger. So first and foremost, I want to just understand that this is just a rambling of thoughts of how I came to Judaism. This is not a very well formatted video. This is just me rambling how I came to this. Most of my videos are probably going to be rambles or little journal blurbs here and there that I feel intention to write. But in the beginning, I grew up in a small farming town in Iowa. The closest synagogue was in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, and I did not have a car. I did not have a way to even see about joining a temple or even knowing what Judaism was really about. I didn't learn about it like on purpose. I learned about Hanukkah through the Rugrats as a 90s child and learning about horrible atrocities that happened during the Holocaust in grade school, not high school, but grade school. But when I was in high school, I had an infatuation with learning about Judaism online. Now, anyone who tells you the best way to learn about a community is without it, you don't have to learn with a community, you need to kick them in the butt, because that's not true. True Jewish learning, in my case, would be learning from books, the community, and depending on what sect of Judaism you want to join, you have to live with this. You have to learn to live with it in your home. Like, even in Reform Judaism, we want to see what it looks like in your home. Like, that's one of the things my rabbi talked to me about. And when I was a teenager, I messaged a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Toyer Wurzel. If you know him, I'm so sorry. I was literally a 16-year-old little girl trying to figure out myself. And he mentioned that he would like to that we should have a meeting. And I knew my mom would not be for this at the time. Granted, she's okay with us doing this now because I'm an adult, I have my own path. She understands. So I ghosted him. And again, I am so sorry if you happen to see this video, Rabbi Toyer Wurzel. I was cringeworthy. I'm still cringeworthy. I'm a cringeworthy ADHD-stricken adult. And it's cringeworthy, even to this day. However, I still pursued it by listening to Hebraic music on YouTube and just kind of dabbling here and there and trying to learn the alphabet on my own. Debbie Friedman, shout out to our goddess there. Not a goddess, but I really liked her song, the Alphabet Song, and I used to listen to that on repeat. And trying to make sense of the computer age in 2008. The first time I ever stepped into a temple was when I was in Germany. I had a host mother who learned that I was interested, and she was Jewish herself. She invited me to a Chabad, and it was amazing. Like, it opened my eyes. It was definitely more orthodox than what I would have liked, but I had no idea what was going on, but I absolutely fell in love with it. It felt holy, it felt seen. It wasn't grand gestures like what I was used to. It was humble, it was kind, and the rabbi there was very, very kind to me. Knew that I didn't speak very much German and didn't speak Hebrew. But he still allowed me to be present there, and that spoke volumes to me. Off and on. So after all that, after the Germany trip from high school, I was off and on going to temple while I was in college at CSN. This is Nevada, mind you. And I had a friend of mine who used to take me to a temple called Panay Tikva, which it's gone now and disbanded, but it was a nice little Reconstructionist temple, and it felt very hippy-dippy, and I loved every moment of it. And however, that's when things happened to start politically that didn't agree with me. In remembrance of the election between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, I knew I was at a crossroads of being religious or being true to my authentic self as an LGBT individual. If you missed my first video, hi, I'm gay. I am a non-binary female presenting person / in the middle presenting person who has a wife. And every time I'd hear about the faithful, it usually meant that they would say that people like me was not allowed to be married. I wasn't allowed to have children. I should be killed, etc., etc., etc. You know, it just gets worse and worse the more you go down the rabbit hole of evangelicalism. However, that was my own fault for being swayed away from religion because I listened to the evangelical right versus what my heart of hearts said, which was to love everybody, to be hospitable, to be forgiving, to just be a good person. And I do have a small story, actually. So there was an issue with the Catholic church that I went to. So the church that my family went to out in Nevada was like a Spanish missionary, and they would do the traveling priest type thing. So like 1 week you would get someone from Ireland, another one from Ghana. We had a few from the Philippines, and so on and so forth. However, something happened in my friend group, and I was told by my mom to go confess and to make good, and that's fine. I was willing to do that, and I literally went to church, and I sat in the confessional, and I was damn near crying because I knew being gay was sinful in the eyes of the Catholic Church at the time. Well, I asked the priest, or asking God, as they like to say it, you ask for forgiveness, and then they give you a amount of prayers as penance, which to me that doesn't seem right now, but anyway, but they give you penance. And I remember very, very clear that I said, I don't feel like I come to church anymore because I'm gay, because I don't feel accepted. And we had an African priest at the time who had a very thick accent, and he went ballistic on me. He literally went, oh my God, how can you say that? You know, people like you come to this church every Sunday. How dare you? This is not what, this is about. You need to repent. You're a sinner for coming in. And that, to me, did not feel very godlike. That did not feel very holy, because they're supposed to stay impartial. And the fact that a priest smacked me down so hard told me that I was not in the right place. And thus, atheism was born in me. I started looking at atheism and paganism because those were the two that seemed most open to people like myself. And I became a bleeding heart pagan for a long time, and I met my wife Juno, and I guess you can say that societal pressure versus personal conviction, I let society win. And I decided to be a little more secular than what I used to be in the Midwest. Mind you, I don't think I conclude here. My family was Catholic, so we do have some Jewish ancestry, but it was 3 generations back, so it's a little bit of ways. But my family became Catholic in like the 1910s, like something like that. And yet there was still some unexpected cracks in my personality, and I used to think about it the times I didn't eat pork. There's times I would literally I didn't want meat and dairy touching. There's videos of when I was a cosplayer showing people how to light a menorah, even though I was a goyim. And all these little hints of me trying to be something that I wasn't. These hints should have shown me that I should have seen a rabbi sooner. There was definitely a subtle yearning to find a temple of my own and start my religious journey from Catholic to atheist to pagan to Jewish. Now, I'm talking about from 2010, when I graduated high school, all the way to this year of 2025. I was living my best life and still trying to snuff out the little Jewish flame in my heart, but obviously it didn't happen. I still yearned for it, but I was following pagan roots here and there just to keep pace with secularism. And I noticed that when I was volunteering at a transgender youth homeless center called House of Kodak, I got a message from one of the other volunteers, and it was an invitation to an LGBT meetup on the patio of the temple that I currently go to. This piqued my interest and I went, and I never thought I'd see a temple willing to embrace the LGBT community. But again, that's my fault for only looking at Orthodox materials and saying, oh, if you're married, you can't be Jewish unless you're married to a Jewish man or woman and converting for them, so you can be married. Or if you want to go to this one church, specifically the Baptist church, like there's multiple different sects that say that you cannot be gay and a Christian, gay and Jewish, gay and Muslim. There's so many outliers in this that makes it so much harder. But I digress. I fell in love with the community again. I met the rabbi for the first time, and I got to know a few people, including the cantor, the other community members, and it just felt like I was at home right away. However, again, there was this single question that played in my head constantly. I am married to a non-Jew, and she doesn't want to convert with me. Will this be an issue? So I tried to turn off that worry, and I asked a new friend of mine that I met there, and he said that there wasn't an issue, that he converted right when his partner wasn't. And I should have just taken him at face value. Nope, definitely didn't. I started going to temple every week on Fridays and then going during the high holidays, which granted, not too long ago, but, I was determined. And after realizing that I needed to make an appointment to get to know the rabbi more, I asked the question about conversion. She seemed very welcoming to the fact. She did tell me that it's more than what most people make it out to be, and that it's a lifestyle and a life cycle change. And so there's a lot of huge feelings that come by with it. And thank goodness above, I am ready to start working with the Almighty. However, the question started playing in my head, so I asked my rabbi, and she said it was actually a good question, and showed that I was doing my homework, which, stay with me, since 2008 to 2025, I've been in limbo about this for 17 years. That's a full cycle of grade to high school. But, to my relief, she said as long as I am supported, she doesn't care. If this is my path, this is my path, and I will drive while she helps me along the way. That was a relief, and that was the answer that plagued me the most in my questions. So, is this why I am... So that's basically why I'm still with this temple. I feel accepted. I feel loved. And honestly, I already feel part of the community, even though I haven't gone through full conversion yet. But Step 1 are these classes, and honestly, I am more than pumped to learn about what I have been missing. Apparently, there's supposed to be like 20 people or so in my class, and I'm actually quite intrigued that people are coming to Judaism like this. So, a little bit of anecdotes, and I'm kind of thinking on my past. I definitely had some misconceptions about prayer. Just a short story showing my practice. And I don't know why I did this. However, my nana is very sick right now, and she has cancer, and she is having her surgery not too long from here. But ever since I started going to the temple, there's a prayer said and sung at our Shabbat service called Mishaberach. Please forgive me if I said that wrong, because tongue-tied. Which is a prayer of healing. And you know what? I can actually sing it. Like, that's something I do like singing because it actually calms me down quite a bit. But, again, please forgive the tones. I'm still getting over being sick from the flu that a client had given me literally last month, and I'm still like dying. But however, worrying about my Nana, I would say her name every Shabbat for prayer, and every time we'd sing, for some reason I would just cry. And I don't know why, but I felt like someone was finally listening to my worry about her. And then it hit me. My prayers were being listened to both the community and maybe Adonai themselves. From the sensory experience, and it was weird because I didn't feel like I wanted to cry. It would just come out and just being vulnerable. But from the sensory experience and feeling connected like I never had before, I felt that I was where exactly I needed to be spiritually. I was ready to become Jewish and proud, even if it wasn't in the Orthodox set. I'm happy to be where I am now. I'm a proud Jew in the making, and I'm excited to share that story with everybody on this channel and the world. Now, I have to embrace the journey, not just the destination, and being a little older now, I realize that spiritual growth is ongoing, and having a spouse that allows me to grow with what I need and what I want spiritually, that's a blessing in of itself. And while she's never seen me as the religious type, I was once upon a time ago in the Catholic Church as well. However, this religious experience has happened once before. I feel that I'm at home now. The last time that this experience has happened was I was in a temple in the place I'm at now. Not the temple I'm at now, but a sister Reformed synagogue. And during the high holidays, I just started crying for some reason. It was weird, but I don't know. Like, I was completely blank, and it felt like I was meant to be there. Anyway, I digress. I'm a crier. I feel that I'm at home. I am happy to share my experiences as it happens, and kind of think of this like a journal. This channel is like a journal for me. However, I encourage you, my viewer, to explore your own spiritual path. Not just one. You'll find something that will sing to you, I hope. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this mini journal. I appreciate your input and all the support possible. I invite you to leave your comments, share your personal stories, and I would love to foster a community of self-exploration and one that has a hunger for knowledge. Thank you so much for listening, and again, good Shabbos.